Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a massive, truly sprawling topic based on some fascinating source material, the Chinese educational ecosystem. Whether you're a student, an educator, or just keeping a close eye on global economic trends, understanding exactly how this system functions is absolutely crucial for grasping future market shifts. We're going to break down the specific structural elements the data points to piece by piece. Let's get right into it.
50. That's the sheer volume of frequently cited strengths that researchers attribute to the Chinese system in our source material. 50 distinct pillars. Now, obviously, sitting here and just reading a list of 50 bullet points wouldn't be very engaging or helpful. So, to really understand how these sources claim all these components interact, we're going to group them into a tightly organized framework.
Okay, let's dive into this micro to macro journey. We'll be looking at 1. The foundations of a learning culture. 2. The engine of academic rigor. 3. Valuing effort over talent. 4. The national testing crucible. And 5. Fueling the modern economy.
Starting off with Section 1, Foundations of a Learning Culture and the Community Roots of Academic Success.
You know, before a student ever even cracks open a textbook, they're already being molded by their environment. The source material highlights a really profound baseline reverence for learning. We're talking about a deep, culturally ingrained respect for teachers and scholarship. When the surrounding culture inherently values education like this, teachers become highly respected pillars of the community, and that sets an environment where students take their learning seriously from literally day one.
And this respect translates directly into action at home. The sources point to incredibly strong parental involvement. Actually, some studies note parents dedicating multiple hours every single evening strictly to overseeing homework, because they view educational success as the ultimate path to social mobility. But it's not just a solo, individualistic climb. There's a massive emphasis on collective achievement here, culminating in the public celebration of academic success. When a student succeeds, the whole community celebrates it, which creates this incredibly powerful support network.
All right, Section 2. The engine of academic rigor. High standards and mastery.
Moving right into the classroom, the system demands incredibly high standards, particularly in math and science. But the real driver here, it's the educators themselves. They are expected to have deep, specialized subject knowledge. This allows students to undergo extensive practice to achieve true mastery of the fundamentals, and the results speak for themselves, with outcomes like exceptionally high national literacy rates sitting at over 99% for youth. The philosophy cited here is totally unambiguous. You simply cannot build complex thoughts without completely mastering the foundational building blocks first.
Which brings us to a really fascinating point about learning techniques. Memorization gets a pretty bad rap globally, right? It's often just dismissed as rote learning. But our sources note that within this system, effective memorization and knowledge retention techniques are viewed very differently. They're seen as the absolutely necessary, structured groundwork for problem solving. By building a robust, easily accessible foundation of knowledge through memorization, students actually free up cognitive space to develop much more advanced analytical skills. It's really not about just repeating facts. It's about having the raw materials readily available in your mind to tackle complex problems.
Let's move to Section 3, Valuing Effort over Talent, the Psychology of the Student.
Now, what's really interesting about this concept is what's happening inside the student's mind. A profound cultural contrast emerges in the data. In a lot of systems worldwide, there's a heavy reliance on identifying natural gifts. But here, the sources note a massive cultural premium placed on continuous effort. The belief is instilled incredibly early on that hard work and persistence will trump raw talent every single time. It's an incredibly empowering mindset, honestly, where success is dictated by your own dedication rather than some genetic lottery. And because effort is prioritized so highly, students are equipped early on with what researchers call a discipline toolkit. And none of this is left to chance. There is a very structured early development of study habits. Schools and parents actively promote self-discipline, time management, and a really heavy emphasis on concentration. So what does this mean? It means when a student hits a difficult concept, they already have the psychological resilience required to just push right through it.
On to Section 4, the National Testing Crucible, Structured Goals and Expectations.
Armed with this discipline toolkit, how exactly are these students assessed? The sources map this out chronologically for us. Step 1 is broad, universal access to compulsory education. But as students progress, they quickly encounter Step 2, incredibly strong examination standards. And this all leads to Step 3, the ultimate motivational goal of competitive university admissions. It provides a clear, unambiguous target for students to aim all that disciplined effort toward.
This idea perfectly captures the unifying nature of this whole framework. It's not just a few elite schools pushing for excellence. We're talking about clear educational goals and a nationwide commitment to educational achievement. Everyone knows the expectations, and everyone knows the stakes. This highly competitive academic environment, combined with strict expectations for student performance across the board, serves to unify the youth under a shared, high-pressure but highly structured experience.
And finally, Section 5, Fueling the Modern Economy, the Macroeconomic Outcomes.
So what happens when millions of these highly disciplined students graduate? Well, the data shows a direct pipeline between systemic inputs and macroeconomic outputs, and this brilliantly illustrates the framework our sources describe. Massive investments in STEM education, edtech, and research result directly in the consistent production of highly skilled technical graduates. Because the system continuously expands higher education, the workforce is constantly refreshed with highly capable problem solvers. It's a remarkably strong alignment of education with actual tangible economic development.
But wait, the true strength of this system goes way beyond just landing that first job after graduation. The ultimate goal highlighted in our sources is the encouragement of lifelong learning values. Think about it. This rigorous, high-pressure system aims to instill a continuous drive for improvement that outlasts formal schooling by decades. By the time these students become professionals, the habits of self-discipline, concentration, and a deep respect for knowledge are so completely ingrained that they just continue to learn, adapt, and innovate throughout their entire careers.
So, to wrap this all up, we've unpacked the 50 foundational strengths identified in our source material, ranging from a deep cultural respect for teachers all the way to massive macroeconomic STEM investments. Which leaves us with a pretty vital question to chew on as we watch the global landscape continue to evolve. How does an ecosystem built on these pillars of rigorous discipline and collective achievement shape the future of global innovation? It's a question that will undoubtedly define the coming decades. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and remember to keep questioning the systems that shape our world.